So in a couple of days, we're going to have the second half of Season 8 of The Walking Dead, which feels like Season 16 or 20 or a lot further at this point. And on reflection, despite Episode 8 being the best of the bunch so far this season, I've mainly either been irritated or bored for most episodes, which in turn has led to this video, which will likely consist mainly of me bitching about a show I continue to watch. But there are solid reasons why I watch it. Firstly, there's the setting. I'm a huge fan of George A. Romero's trilogy of the Dead. All three movies are fantastic and hold up remarkably well, with Day in particular still looking incredible in regards to its practical effects. Walking Dead's Greg Nicotero's even got a small role in it. Oh, and before I forget, that second remake just looks like utter fucking garbage. I don't know how a movie that's got a higher budget than the original can look fucking worse. Anyway, where was I? Ah, yes, the setting. The Walking Dead feels as though it could be right smack in the middle of the Romero universe. Even the explanation to the epidemic could fit right into the Romero world. We know that everyone is going to reanimate no matter what, but the reasons as to why or what caused it is still a mystery. This thing is happening and there's no way to stop it, and it's wonderfully bleak. You can't eradicate it, you can only try to contain it. Secondly, we have the villains themselves. The show has seen its fair share of villains during its 8-year run, but there are two in particular that stand out, and I think you know who they are. Sure, we had Shane on hand during the first 2 seasons, but the Governor was the first character that really felt as close to a supervillain as you could get in the show at the time. This was a man that had a community under his thumb, and his own militia, which incidentally included Daryl's brother Merle. He was a great, complex, and insane character, and I still miss him to this day. And then there's Negan. I don't think I really have to say anything. He's clearly been the biggest threat to Rick since the show began. He's entertaining, and it's something the show has been lacking up to that point, especially since a lot of the main cast are quite boring. Anyway, with the positives out of the way, let's go on to the negatives and my issues with this season in particular. Considering this season has been dubbed All Out War, the action hasn't been particularly exciting. There's no real defense either, as we all know the show can do action well. For example, Season 4 Episode 8 sees the Governor attacking our heroes with a freaking tank! It was one of the most exciting shootouts I'd ever seen on a TV show up to that point. And at this stage, the Walkers were still seen as a viable threat, so it was essentially like a 3-way battle, and it really felt as though either side could and likely would lose. Whereas this season, most of the action set pieces feel very flat and slow paced. I think one of the problems is that it's felt a bit too easy for Rick's group at times. The Saviours have been built as this enormous threat to everyone, with Rick's group almost having to overcome insurmountable odds. Yet they've been bested 9 times out of 10. Sure, you could argue that they've been hitting them by surprise, but if they were this easy to roll, then what took so long in the first place? Also, there was absolutely zero chance of a main character being killed off, so the suspense or tension just wasn't there. Just lots and lots and lots of gunshots, with weapons that have apparently no fucking recoil. Oh, and people suddenly unable to push off a walker. Oh, you want to eat me? Sure, go on, there you go. Okay, Aaron's boyfriend was killed, but the way it was handled, you'd have thought that he was some long-running member of the cast. We've barely spent much time with him, and his biggest characteristic is that he's in a relationship with Aaron. I get it. You thought that just by linking his character to someone we really liked, we'd care more, but I don't think it really worked at all. I'd care more about this guy, and it's only because he's the English voice of Lord Beerus. Now, if they actually had some balls, there's a character they should have killed off. I'll get to that later. And then we have even more forced character conflict between our heroes, which at this stage is beyond annoying. When Jesus and Morgan square off, it's because of the same old boring morality issue, let alone the fact that it seems like no one actually knows what Rick's plan is. This morality bollocks is the same thing that they've been using for 8 fucking years. We should do this thing. I think this thing is wrong. Things aren't the way they used to be. You mother... There just has to be some other way to get friends and allies to squabble, surely. It's unbearably lazy. Oh, and Morgan is full on crazy again, because sure, why not? Now, this brings me nicely to Daryl. Oh, Daryl. He was a character I was on board with for a very long time, and I fully understood why he was a fan favourite. But his recent character arc has just vanished because we need even more drama. I know there are some that really won't like this, but remember when I had an idea for a shock character death? I think it should have been Daryl. He's one of the final members of the original cast and has been seen as Rick's right-hand man for a very long time now. Who else better to kill off? Okay, you've got me there. The reveal of Carl was really well handled and easily the best thing about the season so far. It put all of his scenes from that episode in particular in a completely different light. But with Daryl, what else is there he can do now? Look, let's have a look at his arc from last season. You could easily argue that it was his fault that Glenn died. Sure, I will admit it, Negan is the man that dealt the killing blow. But it was Daryl's hot-headed and brash nature that caused it. He attacked Negan despite the warnings beforehand, and it led to Negan killing Glenn to teach them all a lesson. From that point onwards, Daryl blamed himself for it. It felt like a real turning point for him, as though he would become a more intelligent and methodical fighter, which in turn would make him a far more dangerous and better man for the fight ahead. Instead, Season 8 has completely ignored this, and he's just as hot-headed and stupid as ever, coming to blows with Rick because he wants to hotshot the plan. Why does no one seem to follow the plan? To make matters worse, in the episode before the mid-season finale, he drove a truck into the Savior's compound, which led to a lot of innocent people getting devoured. Sure, some Saviors dropped, but not many because they were fucking armed. So, to reiterate, Daryl can eat a bag of dicks and then die, followed by Tara, and then Morgan as well. Shit, I really hate most of the heroes, don't I? You know, it's another reason I actually enjoy Negan a lot. The villain of the show! Because our heroes are so boring and morose. Negan is entertaining and fun to watch. He doesn't mope around and drone on and on about how things ain't the way they used to be. Finally, there's the filler itself. Multiple times this season we've had twists or plot threads introduced and then dropped almost immediately. Do you remember Morales? He was seen in the first season with his family, and now Rick finds him as a member of the Saviors. Seriously, what a twist. What sort of ramifications will this— oh, he's dead. Most notably was the finale itself. For 2 episodes, the show wasted immense time seeing Rick spend time with those ever-annoying and infuriating trash people. And, if I may just veer off for a moment, fuck the trash people! There are absolutely no redeeming characteristics of these vacuous and irritating wastes of screen time. A group of people that speak in this weird broken English like the Lost Tribe from Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome. To make matters worse, these morons betrayed Rick at the finale of Season 7. So he decides to go back again because why not? What's the worst that can happen, eh? Well, how about getting locked up and stripped down to your underwear? Yeah, that's certainly up there. But it's okay, because in no time he overpowers them and gives them a bizarre threat-based ultimatum. Of course they agree to help him as opposed to shooting the insane bastard to put him out of his misery. Surely we'll have some massive payoff for all of this. Well, at the start of the mid-season finale, we see Rick arriving at the Savior's compound with the trash fox, whereupon they all notice that the Saviors have gotten rid of the walkers surrounding their compound, who then proceed to open fire on our heroes. The trashlings just run off and are never seen again for the rest of the episode. What a colossal waste of fucking time. This is going to be some strange running theme from now on. Well, you know, I mean, it could have been worse. I mean, we could have had the writers try desperately to make us feel bad for Eugene, but they'd never do something that oh, for fuck's sake. You know the most depressing thing? Despite all the bitching, all the moaning, all the problems, I'll probably keep watching the show. Look, whilst there's currently a lot wrong with the show, and I do mean a lot wrong, there are also still things I really enjoy. Negan is still around, and I always enjoy Jeffrey Dean Morgan when he's on screen. It feels like there's plenty more left that they can do with this character, and he got to dish out some wonderful villainous retribution during the mid-season finale. But then again, even that fell into the Walking Dead trap. You know the one, let me just set it up for you, yay, we found a safe haven, oh fuck, it's all gone! At this rate, I just felt like we're all stereotypically abused spouses that can't leave. The show gets better and gets over its addictions, but then turns up at Friday at 1 AM drunk and shits itself in the bed. But I'm only so frustrated because there's a lot I really enjoy in this show. I wouldn't bitch about it so much if I didn't like parts of it, and I do like a lot of it. Anyway, thanks for watching, or rather listening to me bitch about The Walking Dead for God knows how many minutes. But what do you think? Am I being too hard on the show? Do you disagree? Do you agree? Let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you'd like to hear more of my sexy voice. See you later.